situation that the well of living water, it will never run dry. I need you to remind your situation, speak right to it, and tell them that the well of living water, you will satisfy. You will satisfy me. With long life you will. Come on, tell your situation you will satisfy. Oh, I'm satisfied with you. I'm satisfied with you. You will satisfy. I am pleased with you. You will satisfy me. Oh, Lord, just satisfy me. Woo. Woo.
The scripture declares that the Lord shall reign forever and ever. That's why I love this song so much. A simple declaration to the Father. Listen. You are my God in the ancient of days, my heavenly Father, forever you reign. Oh, 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 oh. Somebody help me sing, yeah. My heavenly Father, somebody say, oh, 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 forever you reign, forever you reign. Come on, let's lift it up. You are my God. My heavenly Father, oh, somebody say, oh, oh, oh. Come on, it's a simple song. Let's sing it together. Listen. You are my God and the ancient of days. My heavenly Father, oh, somebody say,
Most Holy King, we come before you
Standing. Broken we come. Surrendering all that we are. And so we just cried out and say, rain. Anybody want some rain? Have your way in this place, oh God. We need you to rain. We don't want to live here the same. So
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon. Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Ask Elaine, better ask Elaine. Ask Elaine, better ask Elaine. Ask Elaine, better ask Elaine. Ask Elaine, better ask Elaine.
Well, welcome. It's Wednesday. It's a beautiful day outside, just perfect weather, and we're just so happy to have you here with us. This is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, welcoming you to Ask Elaine. This is your weekly talk and information program. We welcome you, and we're just so happy to provide as much information as we possibly can for you and for your family, because we know that the folks who are listening in or watching or whatever, they have a circle of influence. And you can let other folks know this information that you learn, and you will help them and help this entire community. We want to, first of all, after welcoming you, we want to welcome Jeanette Goff, who is with us, Kimberly Houston. Welcome to Ask Elaine. Thank you so much. And those folks who've tuned in on AM, FM, and all of you who are right here who can see us. Y'all try to transition over to the Glory Live so that you can see us and we can see the names of the folks who are deciding to take part in the chat. Here you can submit questions, comments, and you can call us at 478-250-1444. We want to thank these very fine folks here at Historic WDDO. They keep us going, they keep us sounding good, and they are just the nicest people you ever want to meet. And so we want to thank them for their support, making sure I don't, I kid about blowing up the station, but I don't touch a whole lot of stuff here. Welcome, Randy Crawford. Hello. Welcome to Ask Elaine. We're just so glad to have you on with us. We want to express our condolences to families that have lost loved ones, or you've had illness. Things are still going on, and we want to express our condolences to you and our sympathies to you and your family. We also want to wish those who've had happy times, enriching times to happen in their families. We want to say congratulations to you. We want to express our condolences to the Hayes family, a very, very loyal member of Wilman Hayes. We attended his homegoing ceremony on Monday, his services. He was a very, very loyal member, he and his wife, Terry, of the local branch NAACP, and supported that organization for years and years and years. You always saw them in attendance at those events. So we want to express our deepest sympathy to that family. Very fine family. We also want to thank our sponsors. Our special guest today is supposed to be Senator David E. Lucas, and he is on the way. I guarantee you, he's on the way. He's speeding, but he's on the way. While we're waiting for him to come flying in, we want to thank our sponsors. We have started involving other people in sponsoring Ask Elaine and helping us to keep this program, this information program, on the air. We want to thank Rep Georgia, not only represented by none other than Kimberlyn Carter, who is a regular on our program, and we just look forward to having her. She is just a wealth of information. So, Rep Georgia, and they will be coming to you, I know, during this election season because they support many candidates who have that commitment that we need in our community, and they help those candidates in running for office. We also want to thank Sheriff David Davis, and he is a longtime supporter of Ask Elaine, and you'll see him on the show on a regular basis. We want to thank DA Anita Reynolds Howard, who is also one who is on quite regularly, but she has a lot to share. She just has all kinds of things. And that's probably one of the reasons she didn't get opposition this time, because people not only pledged their support, but they sent money, contributions. And so I was waiting to see what nut was going to try and run against her. Senator David Lucas is one of our supporters. Floyd Griffin, who's running for House District 149, a good friend of our family and one who is asking for your support for House District 149 on May 21st, and early voting in May 21st. He is one of our sponsors, and we thank him, former mayor of Milledgeville and former state senator, military man. He's just got an author, uh, husband, father, business owner. We want to thank him for his sponsorship. We also want to thank former mayor C. Jack Ellis, who is a longtime sponsor. We're going to get him before he goes back to Africa and stays for 6 months. We're going to get him on the show because he always has wonderful, interesting things to share with us. And last but not least, we want to thank Black Voters Matter, who also is a sponsor and supports the work that we do. We tell it like it is. And all of these folks support our efforts to get you the information that you need. You get smarter when you tune in to Ask Elaine. Our son Lenny is um, is on with us. He says, "Good evening." We're going to let the senator change to the other side. We want to thank Susan Smith. And of course, we've thanked Randy Crawford for tuning in, Jeanette Goff, Kimberly Houston, and all the others who have joined us for Ask Elaine today. This is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, and we thank you so very much for your support. This is National Economic Development Month, and on yesterday evening, after Reverend Reginald May did the opening prayer, um, we pay tribute to all of those agencies that help with our underserved communities. So we want to salute them and wish them a happy economic development month. In It's a national kind of observance. As you can see, Senator Lucas has come in. If you pull up close to that microphone, we want to welcome you. We're glad that you're finally finished with the legislative session, and you've got an opportunity to come on and ask Elaine. I've got one or two announcements that I want to make before we get to your discussion of what went on in Atlanta, what damage was done, what good things came out of the legislative session. Because, and I know everybody's interested in those things. I'm trying to see if we've got anybody else's on, but whether you're in the chat or not, we just welcome you so very much. There will be on Thursday, next Thursday, April 11th, 2024, from 6 to 8 p.m., the Martin Luther King Jr. Joseph Lowry Memorial Community Forums. These are being sponsored. They will take place at the Greater Zion Hill Baptist Church on Napier Avenue, right across the street there from this historic station. A series of meetings will be held to discuss the concerns of the people. This is being sponsored by the West Side Neighbors United, Mr. George Crawley and company. Voter education, they'll be talking about the new district lines. You'll get a chance to meet local candidates. Y'all go ahead and write this down on your calendar, because you don't want to miss one more opportunity to get to meet some of the candidates and also talk about some important issues to the community. The new district lines, the candidates. In attendance will be Macon-Bibb County candidates for District 5, Macon-Bibb County candidates for District 9, candidates for Macon Water Authority District 2, that's Desmond Brown and Marshall Talley, and then Georgia House representatives for District 142, 143, and 145. And they probably need to add 149, because Floyd Griffin is a candidate that we are supporting and working hard for. He has that experience, and we need the experience. A lot of the folks entering office this time will be new people, and so there needs to be some experience there. Um, so this is including Napier Heights, Cherokee Heights, Unionville, Azalea Heights, Radio Park, and the Kitchen Pride area. There's a quote from Dr. King, and he said, "The best way to solve any problem is to remove its cause." And I can't think of a better thing to say today, in light of the fact that we've got to live in this world with things like Trump and some other folks. And the best way to solve a problem is to remove its cause. And so by remove, we mean vote them out. Don't let them get in office. So this is an opportunity. This is April 11th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. That will be something of great interest should be of great interest to you. Okay, we're going to go. If you have any questions, you can put those questions in the chat. Or you can call us at 478-250-1444, and we'll be glad to hear from you. If you'll press like and share, just to remind some other folks that we are on the air, that Ask Elaine is on the air. All right, Senator, how was the session?
It was rough.
Was it rough, really? Tell us about it.
Well, it was the first time that Medicaid expansion had been discussed
Mhm.
in a
Tell everybody what Medicaid expansion is, because everybody doesn't.
Medicaid expansion was a program that President Obama put in that deals with health care. and to help those folks who meet the 138% poverty level as under the federal guidelines. And there are about 40 states that have expanded what we call Medicare health insurance for those folks with at the 138% poverty level. Georgia is one that has not. Uh, we were dealing with the certificate of need law, uh, and we sent a bill over that changed some things with certificate of need. And one of the problems I had with certificate of need, rural hospitals were catching HELL as far as trying to survive and being able to go before DCH.
A lot of them closed, didn't they?
There were about 12 prior to COVID
Small
that
hospitals.
closed.
Mhm.
And what I said, if we'd have had those rural hospitals, maybe our death rate in Georgia would have been a lot lower. But anyway, we changed some things. There people have been pushing to build a hospital in Butts County. And Butts County is 35 miles, within 35-mile radius of Griffin, which has a hospital. And of course, you build a new hospital, doctors want to go to what's new. The only thing that keeps that from happening is that you're offering great service at that particular hospital. So we changed the certificate of need. I wanted to add Medicaid expansion to the bill since the House kicked the can down the road and put Medicaid expansion study committee on the bill. And so we didn't do that with that bill, but we had House Bill 487, which I introduced in the Senate, knowing full well that any revenue measure must start in the House based on our Constitution, Article 5, Paragraph 2, that all revenue measures start in the Georgia House of Representatives. Never could get the committee that it was assigned to even hold a hearing or either ask the state auditor, give me a fiscal note on this bill.
Mhm.
Anyway, we pushed and haggled with members in the Senate and the lieutenant governor. And so we finally got a hearing in regulated industries. And what we were going to do was to strip a House bill that crossed over and put 487 on that House bill and send it back to the House.
Okay, so you had to do a whole lot of negotiating with other folks
Republicans in the legislature.
Republicans.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what experience does for you. That you have the respect of a whole lot of people on both sides who will work with you.
And so I heard the rumor that a Democrat shouldn't be leading that effort, that it should come from a Republican since Republican control the Georgia General Assembly.
Sounds Trumpish.
And well, my first statement when I presented the bill to the committee was, it's not an I bill, this is a usum.
Mhm.
As old folks say, usum. And what I was saying was that we, Democrats and Republicans, are trying to get this
Right.
thing through the legislature. Of course, a lot of things happened. The meeting was on Thursday, and a lot of things happened that Wednesday night. There were calls made to folks about their bills being
By the governor.
by the governor, by their bills being vetoed if they went along and passed that bill. Of course, in the meantime, a letter was sent to the chairman of the committee, putting an ex officio member on the regulated industries committee that had never served on it. And he was the chairman of the health committee that 487 never got a hearing or
Okay.
audit report.
Wait a minute. So you've got a committee of people
Right.
set up to hear particular items, and this one dealt with health care.
Right.
And so the Republicans have in place a system where they can just send somebody into the committee to vote against.
They have to be appointed to it, and the chairman gets that notice that morning, and therefore they are
So
ex
that's
officio.
what happened. The Republicans sent
Well,
somebody in to
they
vote
they did. We
against
passed it.
health care.
Yeah, we passed the bill in committee by one vote, and the chairman of the committee voted no, which tied it, which killed the bill. But you got to realize
It's
that
Republicans, y'all.
you got to realize that the chairman of the committee is Governor Kemp's brother-in-law.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I talked to him a week after it was over with, after I cooled down a little bit. And I said to him, I said, now you could have came to me and told me, said, Luke, I can't go with you. I said, but you weren't man enough to do that. Well, man, I got phone calls all during the night and everything. I said, I'm not talking about that. Well, never promised you ever. I said, we went together on CON. And I stayed with you on CON, the changes.
Integrity, y'all.
And I said, my word is my bond.
Integrity.
I said, no, you didn't give me your word, but you were leaning toward it until you got that midnight call. And what I said to him is, if one other rural hospital closed while we're out of session, I'm going to blame y'all.
And you call a conference and bring it to everybody, a news conference, bring it to everybody's attention.
Oh, there's no question that I won't do it. But anyway, what happened is the lieutenant governor had to give the letter in order to make this person an ex officio. And what was online, the governor didn't call him, but he spread the word to some other folks that if it came out, he might veto that CON bill that included Butts County building the hospital.
So the beat goes on, y'all. Let's go back and talk about what Medicaid expansion, what that's all about. That issue has been before the legislature for a long, long time. And there are over, 500,000 people in Georgia who could be covered by low cost
Insurance.
comprehensive health insurance. It is a sin for people not to have adequate health care and not to have the food they need. Those are two things. But this one dealt with health care. Because the Republicans nationally and on the state level in a number of Republican leaning states don't want Democrats to win on anything, because mainly because President Obama was the one that skillfully and masterfully engineered this whole thing, the Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare. And these folks are adamantly opposed to anything. The only reason that they don't want you to have adequate health care, and 500,000 other folks, poor folks, black and white, older folks, black and white. The only reason is because President Obama, it emanated from the Obama administration. Is that a good reason to keep people from having health care? No, but that is the reason, wouldn't you say?
Well, there's no question about it. That the governor put together a program called Pathways. It requires work, and the premium kind of high, and he only has about 2,900 folks in it.
And you got 500,000 people that
Five.
need the health care.
And we spent 26 million
on
the
3,000.
pathways. And not only that, the governor went to court to fight the feds on establishing the program. And I don't think he's going to get a waiver approval from the Center of Medicaid, Medicare, which is known as CMS. You had to pray.
It's idiotic. How much money or can Georgia get for if we expand Medicaid? That means just providing the health care. How many?
Senator Ossoff and Senator Warnock put $1.2 billion in the federal budget just for Georgia to expand Medicaid. The cost, presumably, I've checked on some figures, would cost us about $580 million. So when you take $580 million and you got $1.2 billion coming down to you, The rest of that money would go into what you call the indentured trust fund to try to take care of other things.
People with no insurance.
We would be able to deal with folks with mental issues, other infant mortality rate, those kind of things, dealing with health. And then, of course, there are a bunch of jobs that come with that money, and then expanding Medicaid expansion.
Where does that money go? If it doesn't come to Georgia, if we sit here like we are doing, and the Republicans refuse to vote for Medicaid expansion, where do our billions of dollars go?
It's up for grab for any other representative or senator to go at that money to try to help their states who have expanded Medicaid.
So our money is there. Our senators have worked, and our Congress people have worked really hard to set aside that money for us. And our Republicans in state government, including some that are local folks, Senator Kennedy is a Republican, worked against it. Burt Jones, who's the lieutenant governor, right up from here in Jackson, worked against it.
Well, I wouldn't say he worked against it.
Well, what did he do?
Well, he afforded us the opportunity to have a hearing on Medicaid expansion. That was done in the Senate, and he helped push that. What I'm saying to you is, word was out that if it came out the Senate, that the governor's going to veto the CON bill, which would kill the Butts County Hospital. And one of the senators, Senator Darsall, that's up there in Forsyth County, passed a voucher bill, school voucher bill, and was threatened with a veto from the governor if he supported Medicaid expansion. So I understood why he backed off. He'd been working on it and trying to get it done, because I am opposed to vouchers for private schools.
That's money coming from the public schools going into private school. These folks have all kinds of schemes while we're sitting around running against each other, talking about who did this and who did that. These folks have a grand scheme in place, not only locally, on the state level and nationally. And we're sitting around talking about that we're not going to vote, which is the most stupid thing I've ever heard of in my life.
Well,
go ahead.
When you talk about local, we have elections that are going on right now. Number one, the Board of Elections is kicking the can down the road. You had candidates who did not fulfill the obligation to qualify to run for sheriff. You don't depend on anybody to tell you whether or not you got everything right. You need to know, if you're going to run, what the qualifications are, what you have to do in order to be the sheriff. You didn't do it. So you should automatically be disqualified. Not the Board of Elections play games for 2 or 3 weeks and now saying that they're going to be on the ballot, but your vote won't count if you vote for them. That is ridiculous. You got time to change the ballot, but you should have ruled based on the law. This ain't no game. This is real life. There are qualifications, and because you running for sheriff, the qualifications are all different. You got to be fingerprinted, make sure you don't have a criminal record, all of these kind of things. Now, you got folks who did not meet all the requirements, and you got other folks who did. So they knew what had to be done. So I don't need you to tell me at the Board of Elections, you're going to put these folks on the ballot, but then folks go in there and vote for them. Their vote doesn't count.
Which will be even more confusing.
But there's no question about it. They need to make a decision. That's what they're with the Board of Elections for.
The hearing for these two folks who are facing disqualification. The hearing is next Wednesday.
They've kicked the can down the road. They
Well,
should
they
have had
kicked
it in the very beginning. They know what happened.
last Wednesday, the meeting was held. One of the folks who's facing disqualification was out of town,
That
and another person,
that
and the
has
other, yeah.
absolutely nothing to do with it.
I'm just giving
The,
you the
well,
details.
there are qualifications for sheriff. They are different than you just running for office. Because sheriff sets the bond, who can sign bonds in the county to get folks out of jail and those kind of things. So the sheriff has really a fiduciary responsibility as well as law enforcement. The qualifications are there in writing. That's what you have to do in order to qualify for the office of sheriff.
Right. Or any office that you are running for, you need to find out what your powers are, what your requirements are. We want to welcome Ricky Crawford. Randy was already on, and we want to welcome Ricky and Patricia Booz. Cynthia Cersei is here. Cynthia, Soul Jam is on the way. Soul Jam, and we're going to talk with Senator about that in just a little bit. Soul Jam is at Henderson Stadium. This is Soul Jam 24, but this whole thing has been going on about 30 years because it started out as what? Flashback. And it ran for about 5 years. And then
This is our
now,
29th year.
okay. So, but Cynthia Cersei, Soul Jam, Henderson Stadium, May the 26th. And so just get ready, start cooking. They cook groceries. People have a wonderful time. There was a rumor going around that Soul Jam was not going to happen this year, but it will happen. Tell us who's going to be on. Cynthia says that's why our people need to wake up to the mess around them when it comes to the Republicans. Yes, ma'am, you're right. Tell us who's going to be on Soul Jam so far.
Our entertainers will be Tucker, Heat Wave, Stan Butler and West Love,
Mm.
Stacey Adams, Mike Clark, the guy from Macon, Georgia, who has that tune I call Auntie on the Outside.
Uh-oh.
Bo Partner, who's been around a long time, that sang back with Otis Redding.
Good old gospel song.
And of course, John Dunn and the Jasmine from Athens, Georgia.
That's a good lineup. And if y'all who know about Soul Jam, you know that it is just a wonderful family event. Cynthia Cersei and her whole family, they come every year. They've been coming for, oh goodness, a long time. Cynthia, put in the chat how long y'all have been coming. And then there are others that just make it kind of a family reunion. You can bring your own food, you bring your own, stuff to drink, your libations, and you come in, just no glass bottles. That's a football field, so you wouldn't want that. But you can bring your own food, your own libations, and the music is there. Senator is providing me a Tucker, that's when folks bogard the stage during that time. They run to the stage. But we will have elected officials there as our guests. We will also this will take place a few days after the election, the May 21st election. So we're asking all those successful candidates to come out, and the DA will be there to greet and thank everybody for their support, because she doesn't have any opposition. I know she's happy, but she earned the right not to. So there's just so many great things that will be happening, and lots of food that you can buy once you eat up all that you bring. Lots of food that you can buy. Anything else you want to add about Soul Jam?
Yeah, well, people ask me why you don't go to the amphitheater. There is a price associated with getting the amphitheater. and we are not in that category yet. And so one would say stay in your own lane, and so that's what I'm gonna stay in my own lane and deal with Henderson Stadium.
People love coming to Henderson Stadium. They're used to it now. The amphitheater is something that you mentioned years ago that you were
Well, that
advocating
about
for, and I'm glad to see it there.
about
But
15 years ago, 15 20 years ago, Chuck Lavelle came to
uh-huh.
me and he said, David, why don't we? And so I put it out there, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy. But they had Lakewood Amphitheater.
Hmm.
That's where the bands were performing on Saturday, and then we would bust them down from Atlanta to Macon to do flashback here.
Hmm.
And the guys told me one day, said, "Look, man, we ain't gonna make money in Atlanta, Georgia, and come to Macon and lose to that." We did, and that's when Soul Jam was started. Met with then Brother Stewart, who was over Budweiser, Bibb Distributing and Macon, and we reached an agreement, and we got things worked out. And he said, he basically told me, said, I'm gonna try to give you enough time in order to get other sponsors, and then we're gonna cut it back a little. And that's what he did. So we've been going ever since, and we've been having a good time. And our crowd depends on the people.
Okay. Early bird tickets. When do they go on sale? The early bird tickets
Wait,
are
they were
less than your regular
they will go
tickets.
on sale at the Grand Opera House. The early bird tickets are $45. They will go on sale, I would assume tomorrow. They got the
Tomorrow.
information, and they will be on sale to April the 30th.
30th. Okay. So if you want the lower price tickets, then you can go by and check the Grand Opera House starting Friday.
Yeah,
Tomorrow's Thursday, starting on Friday, the 5th, and get those lower priced tickets. They're a limited number now. So if you're going to get your Soul Jam tickets and go and see Tucker with the rest of us and Heat Wave and West Love and all of them, get those early bird tickets, and then the price goes up after April 30th. Cynthia Cersei says that Auntie will be outside in
yeah,
May.
yeah,
Been coming every year, rain or shine. Yeah, yeah. That's just something about Henderson Stadium. It's a wonderful place. There's so many people that we see who come year after year after year. There's always security there. It's always safe, and wonderful food, and you get to see some wonderful people. So, Soul Jam. Teresa Henderson Hill says, thank you, Senator Lucas and Commissioner, for keeping us informed. I love and appreciate you. We love you too. And thank you so much for allowing us to serve. Senator is, with this term, he's unopposed this time. And next year, when he goes into this term, he will have served 50 years. And at the end of the term, it will be 51 years that he's been representing us and representing us well. So we thank all of you for being with us today. Those who are on AM, who are on FM, and if you've just tuned in, thank you so much for tuning in to Ask Elaine. This is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, and I'm your voice now, and I will continue to be your voice in or out of office. So there are a lot of people that are asking me, well, what are you gonna do? Well, I have plenty to do, plenty of things to do, and all of you do as well. And if you're just sitting somewhere not using your talents, then you really are just wasting. You're just wasting talent. So get out there and do some things, if nothing but exercise or go help, volunteer somewhere. Your time is precious, and you need to use it to help other people. Senator, May 26th,
May,
2024.
right? Showtime at 3 p.m.
Showtime is 3. When can folks start
They
lining
start.
up?
They can start lining up at 1:30 to come through the
Yeah,
gates to set
yeah,
up.
yeah.
You know,
And they will have security. They'll check everything, make sure everything's
we check
in
coolers.
order.
We check coolers for bottles. So if you got bottles in your cooler, you're gonna have to take the
Go
bottle. You have to take
get
the
your
bottle back.
cans. Yeah. And when you are out of your own food that you bring, then there will be vendors.
That's right. No in and out.
All right. No inner. Go through. Explain that.
In and out. It means once you come in, you bring everything with you. When you run out, you have to buy from the concessionaires that we have inside the stadium. And so we've been doing this for years. A lot of folks to bring things, and I never wanted to change it. We started it that way, and so when we end it, we're gonna end the same way we started, allowing you to bring your food and your beverages with you. And when you run out, of course, we have food there, food vendors, and we also have a alcohol concession out there also. So we try to make sure that we've got everything covered, and of course we have plenty of security. The one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to come out the soul jam and act crazy because you're going to jail. And I'm gonna tell you that I can give you my word on that. You're
So,
gonna be locked up and escorted away from there.
so just act nice.
Yeah.
Randy asked, is the Soul Jam band performing?
Soul Jam Band won't be performing this year. The band leader is gonna be in Africa. That's
Harold Thomas.
Harold Thomas. He called me a month or so ago and said he got a family trip that's planned to be in Africa. So Soul Jam Band won't perform it, but you still might see David Lucas and James Duncan on the stage.
Uh-oh. So the answer is kind of, sort of. All right. Y'all, 478-250-1444. Um, Cynthia Cersei wants people to know about the parking, that you're not responsible for that.
No. The parking lot I'm responsible for. The parking is $20. The the parking lot across the street, the church, I don't have anything to do with it. If we have something to do with parking, we will be responsible for that.
Okay.
We carry insurance for it.
Okay. So the other areas where people park, um, hopefully those folks will
They
have
just
somebody to
they just
park
it's
at
the
your
draw.
own
We
risk.
have security and we out in the what's called. So we try to make sure that if we see anything suspicious of the officers, they go and see about it.
Yeah. Well, one thing about it, and one thing that we're very proud of is that over the years, there's not been any kind of trouble.
Got to knock on
This
wood.
there's not been any trouble, and that's what people come for. They want to come, enjoy their music, enjoy their food,
Have a
their
good time.
have a good time,
And not
enjoy the music.
and not have to run for their life.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
I know
You know,
this.
we talk about Soul Jam, but this is an election year, and we're both. I'm supporting Floyd Griffin. Let me say
For
something to you.
House District 149.
Let me say something to you. You cannot be scared representing a majority of folks who look like us and serving in the Georgia General Assembly. Floyd Griffin ain't scared. Now he served. He might be a little stubborn, set in his way
Who's talking?
because he's in the military.
He's talking.
But Floyd Griffin ain't scared. What I see folks all the time talking about running. What have you done prior to running? You run one time and don't nobody see you again to come election. What are you doing in the community? We need folks who are involved in our community who have some understanding of some of the problems that we have as a community.
Right.
We don't need folks want to go get in office so they can just go sit down and eat dinner. I can buy my own dinner. You can't be scared.
And you have to read your information. If things are put before you, the folks that elect you expect you to know what it's about. At least read it or go to, your legal folks or somebody to explain it
Oh,
to
you have
you.
plenty of folks up there that explain
Yeah,
the bill to you. You might
yeah.
not like the way they explain it, but there are plenty of folks up there. That's what lobbyists do.
Yeah, and then on the local level, you have legal folks hired who can explain stuff
Yeah.
to you, but you don't need to go and embarrass yourself or embarrass the people who elect you by sitting there and not taking a stand or by not being familiar with your material. That is the very worst thing that you can do, is to not be familiar with stuff. You have to be open and transparent. You have to let people know what's going on. That's why this program, Ask Elaine, is so important because we try to keep it current. We try to bring you information on items. So if there are any items that you have a specific question about, you can put it in the chat. You may call in. The call in number is 478-250-1444. And our special guest is none other than Senator. You're the dean of the Senate, aren't you?
Now
They call you the dean
I'm
of
not the dean
the
of the Senate. I'm the dean of the General Assembly.
dean of the General Assembly, excuse me, for having served the longest length of time,
I'm the longest serving member of the
longest
Georgia.
serving member of the Georgia General Assembly. And that's something to be proud of. We certainly are proud of him. And I personally know that he takes a stand on things and works extremely hard on items. Yes, sir.
People need to know that we do have differences in our household.
Oh, do we?
Oh, we do. I tell you one that I'm gonna remind you of.
Uh-oh.
When we started on Interstate 1675, you represented the Shirley Hills community on
Right.
city council. And you came to me and said, David, it's just gonna be too big. I say, Elaine, it ain't finna happen. We going through with this. We gonna get this money and we gonna build that interstate. They knew when they ran the interstate through Macon and separated Pleasant Hill, they knew exactly what they were doing. This time we have been involved and we've got voices in Atlanta too. 16 and 75 have to be done. There's another contract that has to be issued on it. But that project now has cost us about $700 million.
Mhm. And a lot of people made a lot of money. A lot of folks have been on the job for an extended period of time. There have been some millionaires made and some companies that are substantial as far as finances. They gained in their financial status. There's just a lot going on. The overall engineer is a young black man, isn't
No, no,
he?
no. You
Which one?
you're talking about that's from the State Department of
Okay.
Transportation.
Okay. All right.
No,
Well,
no.
I knew that there was a I am just always so proud to see especially our young black men who are in positions of authority and are very knowledgeable about what they are doing. Because what's that Kevin Smiley says, if you see somebody a turtle on a fence
You
post
know he
and
didn't get
didn't
there
get there
by
by himself,
himself.
he had a lot had some help and some support and some knowledge. So most of us know that if you're in certain group, then you don't get somewhere just by being you.
Well, we have things that have to be done in our community. I got a call the other day. A gentleman that bought a business on Broadway, and to explain what happened, they cut his water off because they're saying that his sewage is running in the sewer line, which goes to the river. Well, he didn't do it. And the folks prior to him owning the business, they didn't know anything about it. This stuff was done over 60 years. I used to own a club across the street called Newt's Lounge, across the street from ABC Liquor Store. And that's almost 50 years ago. And the understanding is the Macon Water Authority has cut his water off. Now he can't run no business that way. And they're saying that he's got to pay for it. He didn't do it. Who I don't know who did it, but whoever did it the wrong way. Now that falls under the water authority. They should have known whoever did it. But this guy ought not to be penalized for a business he bought that knowing nothing about it, because had he known about it, he would have told the other owners before he bought the property to fix it.
Yeah.
You know, so
how does
this
a
is
state senator
listen,
get involved?
a state senator go down and talk to the folks and say, look, y'all need to fix this. You fix all other problems. Don't tell me he got to pay for it. You fix all other problems in this community. And therefore, the water board needs to take the responsibility and fix it. He is a water paying customer. You cut his water off, not any fault of his own, because somebody tied into the wrong line. And the way they found out, the engineers were looking and saw a dip in the road, and they shot it. And that's when they found out that they shot it. And that's when they found out, and they notified the water board then. Because anytime you go into the street, the water board is supposed to know.
Yeah.
They're supposed to know. So you rack it up as experience and make sure that y'all know when they're going digging in the street, that y'all know something about it.
George Thomas Jr., who's a candidate for District 6 on the commission, has tuned in. He was our guest last week. Just very fine young man, and we were pleased to have him as a guest. And so he's tuned in. Sharon Woolfolk says, "Good afternoon, Senator."
Well, I tell her I say good afternoon. But you know who needs to come on this program? You know who needs to come on your program, Elaine?
Who needs to come on this?
Mayor Lester Miller. He needs to come and tell us what he's done. He's done a bunch of things, but he needs to come.
As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with Mayor Miller last evening, and Mayor Miller has asked to come on the show. And in 2 weeks, next week, we will have Michael McKeever, who is a candidate for, let's see now, there's so many. He is a candidate for District 7. And the other two candidates are Bill Howell and Chris Barnfield. I'm going to tell you something interesting about Chris Barnfield. His wife has a problem with the car that was a few years ago. I was involved in a protest of some kind, and she put some comments out there concerning the kind of car that I drive, and it sounded like she had a problem with me. That was his wife. Somebody reminded me of that, so I don't guess they'll be coming on the show. But anyway, Michael McKeever will be our guest on next Wednesday on Ask Elaine, and Mayor Miller will be on. We're going to confirm and let you know next week, definitely, but we have him penciled in for 2 weeks from now. And tomorrow, y'all, the Evangelical Ministers Alliance will be over at St. John on Key Street at Anthony Road with the Drum Major Awards. That is the award, the Drum Major Award. Somebody else set up one and called it the Drum Major Awards, and that's great. That's great. We can't have too many tributes to Dr. King, but I just want you to know that this is
The,
Pastor Lisa and
this is
Dr.
the
Bug.
main one.
This is the main one. This is the one that's been in operation for a long, long time. You can support the
Yeah.
others too, but this one will be tomorrow evening. I believe it's 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
and they will pay tribute. We will be there representing the Martin Luther King board and help them to pay tribute to some really, really fine people in this community.
Well,
This is the
let,
original Drum Major
well, let
Awards.
me say this again. I want to emphasize the water board needs to fix the problem. Don't blame it on the owner because it's private property. He had nothing to do with it. Y'all should have known when they went in the beginning, and you were not notified. And that's over 60 years ago. Over 60. And to the election board, don't kick the can down the road. Do your job. Do your job. Do not put those folks' names on the ballot and they are disqualified. And you
Right.
tell us that if you vote for one of them, your vote won't be counted.
Yeah.
The problem with that is you all have the responsibility to do the job and to look at everything to make sure everybody is certified. Now, if they ain't certified, I'm not getting mad because the two that they're talking about make real good sense when they're talking. But the problem is you did not do what you needed to do in order to run. I'm sorry. I am sorry. But there are rules and regulations in this game. And if you want to get in the game, you need to know what the rules and regulations are.
Yeah, you need to read. I always suggest to people if they ask me what if they say they're interested in running. First thing I tell them, I ask them is, did you read the charter? Have you read the enabling legislation that tells you what the requirements are? Go make sure you read that. Then get a copy of the document that created that entity.
Well, the Board of Elections has chance to fix this on the ballot. If you got to scratch through the name on that ballot, you can fix it. Don't bring us that bull.
Ooh, kind of mad.
I am. I'm tired of folks
About that.
treating us any kind of way and doing what they want to do.
Well, our Board of Elections is made up of 5 people. There are 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and those are selected by the individual parties, and they serve on the Board of Elections. And then a 5th member is suggested and nominated to the mayor and commission, and then the commission votes to approve that person. That the 2 Democrats are Dr. Tom Ellington and Ms. Evans. And then the 2 Republicans, let's see, do I have their names? I don't think I have their names, but there are 2 Republicans who serve on the Board of Elections.
Tell them to do the
And
job.
then a 5th person who is Mike Kaplan. And so those are the 5 people who are making the decision. Of course, they have an attorney. And I do hope that their attorney will advise them not to. This to me creates more confusion than it alleviates by if that is what they decide to do.
The rules are written down for the position. When you got in it and you wanted to do it, you should have known the rules then. Don't come back later. Oh, I didn't know. I asked somebody, have I turned in it? You're supposed to know what you're supposed to do. Don't give me that excuse. And the Board of Elections need to do their job and not come bring us this lackadaisical approach.
It's a new word. Okay, Sharon Wilfox says Senator Lucas gets the top teacher award. That's for sure. And we do appreciate all of the information. And one thing about it, whether you agree or with us or not, we believe in stating our opinion. and you state yours. You find your information and share that and convince people that you are right in your position. That's the way it goes. That's leadership and that's caring. Um, we are about this time goes by so fast. Herbert Denard was supposed to be on here today.
I
I guess the
don't,
folks got mad with him and he went on to the beach
I don't,
because he was talking about Fonnie Willis a few weeks ago, and these
well,
people lit him
listen,
up.
I'm with Funny.
I'm with Fonnie too.
I'm with Funny.
And Fonnie is still the DA and still gonna take Trump's behind to
Hopefully,
the jail.
hopefully,
But
hopefully, because that's where it need to be.
yeah, he does. He does. It just galls me
It-
that there's somebody that seems to get away with, but it's cold, calculating
And
trash.
now he call himself selling a Bible.
Yeah, got
And
the Bible upside down.
as Reverend Sharpton said he wasn't with Jesus. He'd been with Jesus. He would have been hanging up there because he was a thief.
Listen, y'all, thank you so very much. Thank you for indulging us today. We hope that you've learned something. We hope that the information that we've shared is going to be helpful to you. Remember that we do have these sample ballots. We have a listing of all of the candidates who are running, and very soon we're going to have a card that has a picture and the names of people who are running for these different positions. But by all means, you remember that you cannot vote if you're not registered. So get registered as quickly as you possibly can. And thank you so very much for tuning in to Ask Elaine. We appreciate all of you. Next Wednesday, Michael McKeever joins us, and the following week, Mayor Lester Miller joins us. Thank you so very much for being with us today. So until we meet again next Wednesday at 3 p.m., this has been your voice, Elaine Lucas, thanking you. We'll see you next week.
Good day.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.